Yeah.
What is up, guys, and welcome to Sony Simplified, the show that gives you simple tips and tricks on how to get the most out of your Sony products. I'm your host, Craig from Sony, and as always, I do all the hard work. I'm super I think it's a sleeper feature by most accounts, right? This is something I hear a lot of people talking about, but of course I'm talking about Sony's Voice Zoom 3, which is a very cool feature in my opinion. So today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about what it is, first of all, right? Some use cases that you guys might use Voice Zoom for, whether it's turn it up, turn it down things, and then really kind of walking you guys through how to actually utilize the menu for Voice Zoom. So today is really going to be all about how to get the most out of your Sony Voice Zoom 3 on your Bravia TV. All right, cool. So before we get started, as always, I like to talk about our channel, right? You're on the Sony Connect channel, so make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, spread the word, tell your friends, tell your family, right? The Sony Connect channel is here to connect with you guys. So we want to make sure we're making the content that you guys want to see. And so a big thing too is if you guys want anything in the future, let us know in the comments. If there's any topics that you guys want us to cover in the future, and maybe we make a video like this about the topic that you choose. Make sure you're throwing things in the chat, questions, comments, concerns. I do shout outs, I do birthday shout outs, I do regular shout outs, anything you guys want, but mostly I'm here to answer some questions for you guys. So if there's any questions today, just throw those in the chat. If I don't have an answer for you, I do my best to get you that answer. So let's have some fun, let's enjoy this, and I'm gonna start with a question. I always start my shows with my own question. So if you want, throw in the chat whether you guys actually, one, if you guys even know what Voice Zoom 3 is, because that's a big thing, right? Like I said, it's kind of a sleeper feature. Two, if you are using Voice Zoom 3, what TV are you using it on? I'm gonna answer my question for myself, so you guys know is I'm actually using it on a Bravia 5 TV, which is really cool. So go ahead and throw in the chat what you guys are using for Sony Voice Zoom 3. I see some names in there real quick too. Michael Beckerman's here. I see you all the time with these, but what's up, dude? Let's see, love Voice Zoom 3, one of the best features Sony ever put in TVs. I agree, kind of mentioned that, right? So all right, let's have some fun. Let's talk about Voice Zoom 3. So first and foremost, what is Voice Zoom 3, right? Have you heard it? It's really it's AI software that is designed for the content you watch to basically analyze just the voice in your content. And what it does is it pulls it forward, right? It gives you kind of control over the level of the Voice Zoom. So you can actually turn the voice up or you can turn it down, right? But it's AI software, it's Sony exclusive, that is literally analyzing just the voice, which is a huge deal. I feel like there's a lot of customers out there, a lot of TV shoppers that aren't really thinking about how the sound is of the TV, right? They don't think about things like that. But the benefit here is that Sony is actually thinking about that for you. So we added that software in there. It's Voice Zoom 3. It analyzes the voice and allows you to control that, right? So I know there's a lot of you might have seen that in like some TVs, some similar features where it's like, oh, voice enhancement or voice adjust where you can like, pull out the dialogue a little bit more. But The thing with that is, right, is a lot of that stuff is frequency based, right? So like I said, Sony's software and VoiceZoom 3 is actually AI software analyzing it. A lot of these like voice enhanced kind of features that you might find on some TVs is really just frequency that's going to analyze the frequency and try and give you like a boost, right? In that frequency to kind of make the voice kind of jump out a little bit more, right? But it's frequency based. And the flaw to that is if I'm watching something that, I want to bump the voice, enhancement up, for instance, with the frequency, there's other things that exist on the same frequency as the voice. So if I'm boosting that, I'm also boosting something else that might be in the same frequency as the voice. So I'm kind of back to square one, right? So I'm kind of boosting that, and I might still hear the background noise and the voice, and it's like I still am not, hearing that stuff. But essentially, if you're like me, this is a way with Sony VoiceZoom 3 to not have to use, the captions, right? I used to have to use captions all the time to watch my content because, I know we try to avoid it, but no matter what we watch, there's gonna be something that we're kind of like, it's loud, I don't know what's happening, I can't hear what they're saying, right? So the benefit there is that I can have VoiceZoom 3 analyze the voice, and if I'm watching a movie that has a lot of explosions in the background, or like a concert, right? Or I'm watching a movie where it's, a busy kind of like scene in like a cafe or something where there's a lot of background noise and like the two main characters are having a conversation, I can boost that dialogue with VoiceZoom 3, and I know that I'm just getting the dialogue boosted and enhanced there, right? So again, that's kind of some use case scenarios, where there's background noise and I can pull just the voice out. But, there are some other times where you actually might want the voice turned down. And I know you're kind of looking at me like, Craig, dude, that is bizarre. Why would I ever want to actually turn down the voice in what I'm watching? And here, let me throw these kind of scenarios out to you guys, right? So let's say I'm watching a sporting event, right? And now I'm from Chicago, so my sports teams tend to get beat up a little bit here and there. They kind of get roughed up, right? So they don't win all the time. And the announcer sometimes kind of gets on my nerves, right? I'm just like, my team's losing, they're talking bad about my team, and I'm just like, why can't this guy just stop talking? Well, VoiceZoom 3 is your control in, hey, I can actually now get that guy to stop talking, right? So my team's losing, I don't want to hear the announcer, I'm gonna turn him down, but I'm not gonna turn down everything else, right? Like normally you would grab the remote and you go, boop, let me mute this guy, right? But now I've lost my experience, I'm not immersed in the sound that's happening anymore. This is a way to actually turn down the voice of the announcer and still hear what's going on in the game, right? I can still hear the crowd, I can still feel like I'm involved with what I'm watching, just I don't have to hear the announcer anymore. So that's kind of like one case scenario where I might actually turn it down. Now another thing I might do that would require me to turn down the voice zoom on it would be, let's say I'm having a party, a get together, a family get together, some friends are over, and I'm just like, hey, let's have a good time, let's open up YouTube and let's do some karaoke. I know maybe not everyone does that, or maybe some people think they're pros at singing and this happens all the time every weekend. That's not me, but basically you can open up YouTube or something and you can pull up your favorite artist, your favorite band, your favorite song, and you could use VoiceZoom to actually pull back the voice. So now you are the singer in your favorite band, or the singer with your artist and stuff like that. So essentially you can utilize this to have a good time at parties and just feel like you are now a musician. So those are a few of the use cases for it. Real quick, I'm going to check chat just to see if there's any questions on it. Michael Beckerman's got a question. Let me see if I can get this for you. All right, he says, is Sony's VoiceZoom 3 feature based on MPEG-H technology at all? Man, you have some crazy questions. I will find out. I don't 100% know if it's based on MPEG-H technology at all. But that's a good question that I can come back to and answer for you. Let's see. Michael also says, can you adjust VoiceZoom 3 with the mic through the TV remote? Or is that adjustable through the quick settings pop-up menu? So you're kind of jumping ahead here, and I'm going to go right into that now. So how do you actually do it is the question. So let me show you guys how to do it real quick. And it's really, there's only a few things you need to actually access the menu to adjust VoiceZoom. And that is, one, you need a Sony Bravia TV that supports VoiceZoom 3, which I'll talk about here in a few minutes. Two, you need a hand. And three, you need a remote. So as long as you have those, you can now get started with that. So what you want to do is you're going to grab your TV remote and you're going to hit the wrench menu. So once you hit the wrench menu, you're going to notice that And you see it on the screen here. If you guys couldn't see it on my remote, you're going to see that the arrow is pointing at the wrench on here. And then you're going to see a menu pop up on the bottom after you hit the wrench, right? So you'll see the menu pop up, and you're going to go all the way over to where it says voice zoom on the menu at the bottom here. From there, you see the adjustments. It's going to be usually at 0, but you can go all the way up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then max, right? So you're looking at it and you're going, okay, I got 0 through 5, and then a max, which is essentially 6 different levels of adjustment of the voice zoom. On the other side of it, though, you also have 0 to -5, and then your minimum. So you also have like 6 steps of adjustment to remove the voice as well. And really, that's kind of it, right? It's super easy to do. There's no complicated steps. Your TV already has the support. You know, if you have a TV that supports Voice Zoom 3, you have that support. You just got to access it through your menu and pull up the menu and adjust it to your liking, right? There's no right or wrong, you know, answer. There's no like, oh, it should be set to 3 or 0 or 1 or 2. It's to your liking, right? So it's very customizable to you. So I don't actually have a demo to show you here how Voice Zoom sounds, but we do have a clip that we're going to run real quick that will kind of explain to you and kind of do a little demo. So Tim, if you want to pull that up and run that clip for us real quick.
Under the bright lights of Signal Iduna Park, Borussia Dortmund showcased their readiness against Ajax Amsterdam. Game started with intense energy. Julian Brand, fed by a masterful cross from Matt Hummels, found the net, igniting the crowd in the 6th minute.
I mean, that was kind of cool, right? Super easy to do, sounds good, and again, like I said, I think it's a really cool way that Sony is doing something that a lot of people aren't thinking about, right? And they're kind of saying like, hey, there's complaints that people can't hear things. Not a lot of people are shopping and thinking about that when they're doing, you know, they're shopping for a TV. We're gonna make that for you guys. And like I said, it's a Sony exclusive, and it's just another way Sony kind of helps your experience with your, you know, TV, your theater kind of sound. Now, the next question you guys might have is what models support Voice Zoom 3, right? Obviously, if you want Voice Zoom 3, you gotta have a TV that supports it. So let me run that by you real quick. So if you guys have the XR, it's an XR feature. So the Voice Zoom 3 will be in the Bravia 5, the Bravia 7, the Bravia 8, the Bravia 8 Mark II, which is one of my favorite TVs. Obviously the Bravia 9, and it is available also in the A95L. Which is still a really good TV. I know, even though it's a couple years old, but still a great TV. So all of those TVs have that feature built into them already that you can access just the way I told you through the menu. Now, I know the other thing you're probably thinking too, and I'm sure there's probably some questions that will come up in the future here is there a, like, maybe I'm not a person that wants just the TV audio, right? You're kind of like, I listen to a sound bar, or I listen to a sound system, right? I want to have that feature and not just have to use the TV speakers, right? Can you do it? And the answer is yes, but there are a few things that you need as well. So on top of the fact that you do need a TV that supports it, which is one of those models I kind of said earlier, you also need a Sony sound system that will support Voice Zoom 3 as well. And that is, right now I can tell you, it's the Theater Bar 6, the Theater Bar 8, the Theater Bar 9, the Sony System 6, which is our all-in-one, and then the Quad. So as long as you have one of those systems and one of those TVs that supports Voice Zoom 3, the same way applies, right? Where you actually pull up the menu, adjust the voice zoom like the way I kind of taught you guys, and now it's doing it for the soundbar versus the TV speakers as well. So super easy. It's a great feature. Let me check some of the chat questions real quick and see if you got anything. I think Michael Beckerman, I think it's me and you, man. This is a show that just me and you are watching together. I appreciate that though. That's awesome. Let's see. All right, so Michael asked, does the Sony TV remember the setting for the Voice Zoom 3 feature when I turn off the TV? Or I have to reset it every time I want to when I power off? So as far as I understand, my experience with it has been it's saved. As long as I have it on there, if I put it to, like, let's say I boost it up to 3, every time I turn the TV on, it's at 3. So there's no crazy way to have to worry about that, unless perhaps I have to maybe reboot my TV or kind of reset it or something like that crazy, which you shouldn't really have to do. You don't really have to mess with that. Now, the only other thing I can think of, and I'll double check on this for you, is it could be input based. So like if I'm watching, let's say I'm using just my TV speakers, and maybe I'm watching different things, like maybe I have a cable box hooked up to it and I'm using that as like an input, or versus streaming, something like that. I'll double check to see. It may be based on the input you're on. So if I'm streaming, I have to adjust it the way I want it here. If I'm watching the cable box, I'm gonna have to adjust it that way as well. But I'll double check to make sure for you, because that's a good question too, man. So that's what I got for you guys. There's nothing crazy. Like I said, it's pretty simple. These are simplified episodes, which is what we want to do, is make it simple for you guys. And then all right, Michael's got one more question. So before I jump into the last thing I want to talk about, Michael's asking, I didn't mention the Theater U on your list of voice Zoom 3 supported devices. So does not go out over Bluetooth. That was correct. Might change in the future. Again, I'll probably get back to you on that. I haven't, let me think. I'll double check that, because that's a good call out there with the neckband. He's speaking of the Theater U, guys. If you don't know, the Theater U is our neckband speaker, which is a really cool feature as well to have. It's kind of like your own personal surround system. I'm going to double check with. I'll get back to you on that as well to see if the voice Zoom is supported on the Theater U neckband speaker. But that's a great question, because I think that would be a cool feature as well if it isn't on there. But I'll verify for you. All right, so last thing I want to talk about real quick is registering your products. Obviously, the recommendation I'll give you guys is to register your products. So if you have a Sony TV, make sure you're registering it. If you have a camera, soundbar, etc., register your products, because you will get simple tips and tricks like this in your email. So basically, you're going to be getting all these things, like software updates, things like that, notifications. So it is worth it. I know it's an extra step. I know it's kind of like, I got to go online. I got to find, a serial number or something like that. But trust me, it is worth it to register your products. So make sure you guys are doing that. And then, yeah, I mean, this was a super quick episode, guys. Like I said, I wasn't, I didn't want to take a bunch of your time up. I thought this was a really cool feature to go over with the Bravia TVs. Voice Zoom 3 is like I said, my favorite feature. I think it's a sleeper feature in our products. So I'm going to wrap up here. I don't see Michael having any other questions. Like I said, dude, I will totally get you those answers. I know you had a couple ones that I just want to verify for you real quick. So if you guys have any questions, though, in the future, as we wrap up this episode, make sure to throw the comments, like instead of going to the chat now, go into the comments with it, because we can go back and now answer the comments, and I'm pretty good at that. I've had quite a few of these, and like I said, if I don't have an answer, I find that answer for you, and I will comment back on the questions that you guys have. So yeah, without further ado, guys, I think that wraps it up for me. Make sure you're liking, subscribing to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Like I said, tell your friends and family so we can connect with you guys. If there's any topics you guys want to see in the future, please throw that now into the comments. And yeah, until next time, guys, I am Craig from Sony, and I will catch you on the flip side here at Sony Simplified.